I say that I design moments of happiness for people.
Rosemary Okoli is a 32-year-old hospitality designer and business consultant who is changing the face of hospitality in Nigeria. She is the brain behind the success of one of the biggest beach destinations in West Africa, the landmark beach.
It was pretty empty when we took it on. We did 1 year and the footfall was 250,000 about people that we had come through that beach in a year's time.
The tourism industry in Africa brought in over $24 billion in 2019, bounced back rapidly after the pandemic and is currently on an upward trend.
I've been a customer, I understand how I want to feel when I'm in a space.
She's currently building a new line of unique destinations, and today she's going to be sharing her story about how she plans to scale her business to become one of the biggest brands in travel across Africa in the next 5 years.
So far, my work has proven itself, and at some point it just makes everybody else shut up.
Hi! How are you?
I'm good.
You have a really nice place here.
Thank
so
you.
Are you ready to take us in? Share a story
Come
with us?
on in. So this is a 6-bedroom beach house. It's run as an all-inclusive beach resort. On this side is our bar, which overlooks the ocean. And everything we designed and built up in this space was designed around this view. So this is what we saw when we first came here and saw the dilapidated building. And we're like, you know what? We can make it work. This did not exist. All of this furnishing didn't exist. None of this existed. We had to design everything around the aesthetic of what we wanted to do. So even things as detailed as the fabric of the chair were very intentional to pick up the blues from the ocean and things like that.
Oh, the blue and the white. Yeah, I can see it.
So to create that beach getaway feeling, let's check out the rooms. All right.
Okay.
This is our deluxe room. So we have 4 of these and 2 of the standard rooms. And basically this, again, like I said, all inclusive. So you have different moments. You obviously have the view of the ocean.
That's Eco-Atlantic.
You have a little lounge area over here. Obviously a huge, nice, spacious bed. So everything was very, very bespoke made. So even things like the furniture, all of that was designed to just tie into that whole rustic beach boho type vibe.
Where did you get all this, your design ideas from?
I mean, I'm an architect, so I don't know.
Not every architect understands design in
Well,
terms of like designing spaces like this. This is more like interior decoration.
So I think it comes from being in different spaces like this. I've traveled to so many places. Like if you left this to me and we had like unlimited budget, I would break the floors. But yeah, so a lot of my travels, inspire some of these things, even the doors turning them blue. It just changes how you feel. Some of the things that were picked up, I picked up at the art market, and then we just kind of soaked it in blue paint just to give you some of those.
Oh, that's Lekki Art Market?
Yes. And then those were actually that fish I actually painted on.
You painted it by yourself?
Yes.
So how did you get started with beach houses?
So I wouldn't say it's just beach houses. I think it's a whole bunch of hospitality destinations, but really just more so unique spaces or unique locations. I'm an architect. I was in the US and I moved back 2013.
You moved back? Why did you move back?
So I moved back for probably 2 reasons. I was really focused on wanting to be a licensed architect by the time I was 25. I just completed my master's in architecture, and I figured that there was so much more that hadn't been done in Africa and Nigeria, and which means I'd have more opportunities to do interesting projects than there was in the US. I probably would have just been a cog in the wheel, working a regular job, maybe in an architecture field.
So you felt you had more opportunity in Africa?
Yes, because so much more hadn't been done. It didn't seem to me very, like I would have the opportunity to do very interesting things. So I thought, well, I could come back and then find more opportunities to do very creative things. But also, I really wanted to be a licensed architect by the time I was 25. And with the US licensing process, that was not going to happen. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it takes about 7 years on average.
7 years?
Yeah, so I was like, no, I'm just going to come back. I started working with a company, ACCL. I was there, I got my license done. Unfortunately, it wasn't by 25, it was by 26 when I actually did get my license.
It's just 1 year. You would have spent 6 more years if you
Exactly, maybe 5 more years trying to get it. For someone who was, very young at the time, I was doing like 15-story building designs and managing the whole.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so it was I definitely would not have had that kind of opportunity if I was in the US. But then I immediately started getting bored because, as you well know, being an architect doesn't, when you design stuff, it doesn't mean that it will get built. It really depends on.
Oh, really? I thought You know, like when you design something, like you're designing it for a client and they build it.
Well, so it depends on the client's cash flow. So they might have it designed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will see the light of day.
Oh, wow.
And then I just started getting bored, and there wasn't new things getting done. And so around the same time as well, I got this idea to start a travel company. And how that started off was I was always traveling. Even when I was in the US, when I moved back, I would still travel, and I had all these very interesting experiences. And then social media was starting to be a thing, and people would be like, "Oh, how are you doing this? How are you doing that?" Da da da. And I was like, "Well, I'm just doing them." And I didn't have anyone planning my trips or any agent doing anything. I booked everything myself, and I had these very unique experiences. I would go here, I would scuba dive there, or fly a plane here.
So you're more or less like me.
More or less.
It's just like you don't have a YouTube channel.
Probably should start that. And so people kept asking me how to do this and like their plugs and everything, and I thought, this is a business idea. And so that kind of birthed Tripzapp. And then eventually I left ACCL and started working on this thing.
You left the US, came to Nigeria, worked at this architectural company, and then you decided to start a travel company.
Yes.
What happened to the travel company?
It's still the travel company. The travel company has just evolved. So Tripzapp was curating experiences, and we did all kinds of interesting things and started putting Nigeria and Africa on the map. And so we did a lot of that. We created a lot of content. There was a lot of buzz around the brand, and sort of that led into being invited to respond to a request for proposal to manage Landmark Beach.
Oh,
and so that
Landmark, same Landmark?
Yeah, same Landmark. 2019, we won the contract to manage the place, and at the time there was nobody there.
What you're saying is that the Landmark that we kind of like know today, like the one I went to like recently, it wasn't really always like that?
No, it wasn't always like that. It was pretty empty when we took it on. Like I said, we got it and there's barely 20 people who will be there on a Sunday, and as you know now, if you can go on a Sunday, you're at least roughing around 3,000 people. Wow. And we took it in February, and by December, you would have on average 4,000 on a Sunday. On a Saturday, about 3,500, thereabout people. So by the time we left Landmark, we did 1 year, and the footfall was 250,000 about people that we had come through that beach in a year's time. And that was just the first year. We had exceeded our revenue target by 70%. It was wildly a huge success.
How were you able to, decide to take on something so big if you didn't have like a prior experience?
I believe in myself, but I think also my experience in the travel experience space, running Tripzapp, helped a lot. And again, I always say, like, for an architect, you're a problem solver. I feel like an architect will be able to solve a surgery somehow. You're meant to look at things from a macro perspective, always zooming in and out in problem solving. So you don't know anything about a hospital and you need to build one. So you need to learn everything about a hospital.
Oh, wow.
You probably know more about a hospital than a doctor would know. So using that mindset, I was able to take this on, or at least I believed I could take this on. Understanding customer experience, understanding, creating, designing experiences, designing a feeling, and that's really what we do. That became sort of the bedrock of being able to manage this thing. I've been a customer, I understand how I want to feel when I'm in a space. I know how I've been treated in somewhere in Mexico or somewhere in Zanzibar, somewhere, just different places. So I'm able to bring that back and be like, well, we can actually give people top of the line experiences here in Nigeria. So now we're going outside.
Oh, this is nice. There's a pool there.
Yes. So again, the beauty of this place is the beachfront. I don't think that there's many places that have this undisturbed. Normally in places with, in Lashe, you have a gate, you have something that interrupts you from the beach. But here we're just like morning, night, evening. When it's nighttime, you see the ships light up, and then you can hear the ocean. Yeah, you can see where the ships come into Lagos.
So guys, that's why they call it Takwa Bay, because this is where all the ships come in, all the ships bringing all the container of all the Mercedes-Benz that we're always buying and champagne. They're coming through here.
They're coming through here to go to Apapa. So there are different ways to experience the space. We have honeymooners, families, all kinds of things there. Like you could go fishing, we have the hula hoops, we have all these little things, games and stuff that you can play. And then if you really just come to just chill, there's the cabanas. So here, the cabanas and the pool are like the biggest thing. And really it's just an aesthetic thing. So it draws your eyes to the pool, picks up the blues from the ocean. It's just a really interesting thing to draw out the length of the space as well and give the cabana area something of interest as well.
I need to be coming here because I'm already feeling relaxed. I need to come here, don't have to do my editing and my
So
work.
we want you to feel like you've left Nigeria, even though you're here, because you can't hear the When we took it on, there was no deck, there was no pool tiles. Actually, there was no functional pool. We just had a dugout pit. So we had to finish up the pool, make it work, and even things as intricate as picking out the tiles.
I think one thing we need to make people realize too is also like Tripzapp is an island.
Yeah.
How was it like having to bring stuff? Because I'm guessing you had to bring everything
Oh,
from,
it was
from
crazy.
Lagos.
Yes, you had to bring everything, including generators.
You had to carry the generator. How did you do that? With a ship or something?
No, interestingly, big wooden boats can carry things.
Big wooden boats?
Yes.
Those wooden boats.
Have you seen a horse in a big wooden boat?
No, I've not seen.
Yeah,
I would survive if I sit down in Nigeria.
So yeah, there's a lot of partnership with the locals. They know how to move things around.
So what you're saying is like this was even also built with kind of like the community in mind. The community helped.
Yes, they helped.
In processes.
They helped. We had them even as part of the laborers working on site. So there's a lot of give back. There's even a lot of like hiring people from the community as well, you know, and they're just improving their lifestyle and everything like that. So yeah.
Can you talk about this space a bit? What was it before and what is it currently now?
So when I came into this project, there was nothing really happening here. So we took it on as a dilapidated building essentially, and nothing was happening. So everything was sort of run down. So what you see and what people experience now is completely different from what it is.
So you know the very interesting thing about this video is that I've actually done a video on Lighthouse back then, I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I'll show you guys what it looked like. Fun fact, it's by the beach.
So we took it on 2020, November thereabout, and we had 2 months to flip it around. So all of the renovations we put in, we did that. And one of the brilliant things about how we work is that there's sort of an autonomy in what we do. And so instead of having that back and forth that you would normally have with a client as an architect, we don't have that. We're actually just executing a vision.
So like this space now, do you design and manage?
For this particular space, yes, we design and manage.
For Landmark, you design and manage?
Yes, but they also have their design team, so we're working with their team as well. So a lot of the installations, things that people would interact with, Instagrammable things. We designed one of the restaurants in there, Island Breeze, really heavily on the manage. It really just has been very organic. With saying designing beach houses, I think it's very, I usually say it's very limiting. Okay, so I say that I design moments of happiness for people. So you have architects who design beach houses, and that's great. But I wouldn't say that that's what I do, because then you can have a client and say, oh, I'm designing this for you, but that's not what we do. What we do is we're taking on the entire value chain of the whole thing. So what is the concept? We start from the business development of it. What is the strategy? What is this? How will this work? That's not what an architect is going to sit with you to decide or determine. What is the brand? What is the brand language? Who's the customer? Who are you speaking to? Once we're able to identify all of that, we then design or redesign to match that. And match the price point, the strategy, the business model, and then market everything, and then manage the entire process of the operations, and then, you know.
To spend the night here, how much does it cost?
Okay, so unlike other beach houses where you have to rent the whole beach house, here you just rent a room. So it runs sort of like a hotel, but it's an all-inclusive hotel. So it starts at 145,000 a night, which some people will be like, ah. But it comes with breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 guests in the room. So
plus drinks?
Plus unlimited cocktails. Those guys will keep the drinks coming. Because we see that, you know, when you think of going to a place off island, you have to think of how to get there, how to get your food, how to get your this. We made it just a low barrier entry point. You know, you don't have to think about too much. We'll provide everything for you. So.
Can I go in?
Yes, you can.
Where am I going? Ooh, okay.
Go in and sit and get cozy.
Oh, okay.
Essentially at night time, really when the sun is not out and you just want to chill, we'll turn on the bonfire. They'll give you a blanket and you can tuck yourself in, have some tea, and enjoy the space. And you would still hear the ocean. Can you hear the ocean?
Yeah, I can hear. I can also see the view from here.
Yeah, this is one of the ways to experience the space. We have a picnic area, we have volleyball, and then you can just walk onto the beach and enjoy the view.
Building a business in a space like Nigeria is one of the toughest things possible. I don't think I've spoken to any entrepreneur on this channel and they've been like, oh, it's been a breeze. What are some of the challenges that you face, especially going into an industry? First of all, as a female, there are very few people in Nigeria doing what you're doing. Can you tell us some of the challenges you face on this?
I like to see challenges as an opportunity to learn, so I don't look at them so seriously as challenges. But generally, as a female, you're meant to be this, you're meant to be that, and there's these expectations that are put put on you. But I think that so far that's not been so much of an issue, because once you prove yourself, then that gender situation goes away. For instance, in Landmark, I'm dealing with so many males because I'm dealing with people much older than me.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 32. And it was a bit of a challenge there, because then it's sort of like you have to accept that I know what I'm doing. So there's a lot of back and forth, but I'm one of those people that I'm not just backing down, or like I'm not going to cower. If I know my stuff, I'm going to explain. Other than that, my work will prove itself. So I think so far my work has proven itself, and at some point it just makes everybody else shut up.
Apart from that, what other challenges do you face in actually running the business, in building, in construction?
So that's a long list. So we can go from now to tomorrow on all the long list. So
just give us the short version.
Many things.
The short version.
But I think the short version, and I think anybody in hospitality, especially in Nigeria, would know that you just don't really have any sort of process or industry for people who want to be in this space to learn. So whether it's as a bartender, or whether it's as a waiter, or whether it's as a housekeeper, there are just certain standards of how things are meant to be done. But here there isn't that. There aren't even like, okay, this is how we're going to rate this hotel based on these standards. There aren't a lot of infrastructure or a lot of processes or standards built around it properly. So everybody's just going with God and doing whatever they want. It's tourism. Like, it shouldn't be just private people creating the industry. There should be that buy-in from the government. There should be all of these things. There should be that support.
So there's no government support, basically.
There's no government support, but it's not just that. I think it's also there are things that the government should develop, and there are infrastructures that should be there so that the private people can plug into these things pretty easily. Those are the things, and those are the opportunities that can be harnessed, because it breaks my heart every time I go somewhere. I go to Bauchi, I go to the east, I go to the north, I go everywhere, and there's so much, and everything's just there forever, not doing anything. And you think about even here, I've been coming to this beach for years, for maybe the last 10 years since I moved back, and nothing. But it could be a whole destination. It could be a place where everybody in West Africa wants to come to.
True, like around Miami or something.
Exactly.
What do you feel can be done to change them? Because I used to make videos about a lot of places, and before I used to just complain. But now I'm trying to figure out solutions. What do you feel are some of the things that can be done?
I mean, without saying government, actually waking up one day to actually do things, I think that private people, there's a lot that can be done in coming together. And I know that it's not really the easiest thing, but for instance, Ilashe, everybody. Yeah. But it really could be all of us, instead of my little one, because then I can say, hey, you know what? This is all of us. Let's do the infrastructure for it. Let's have light. Instead of everybody digging their own borehole, you can come together and then be a destination.
I'm sure there are lots of people out there who are watching this and who probably maybe are interested in building like a beach house or building a beach destination or coming up with different ideas across Africa. Based on building a business in Nigeria, what is the ROI of like building a beach destination?
We've done numbers where your payback period could be 8 years. It really just depends. We've done somewhere maybe 2 years. It really depends.
Oh wow, can make your money back in 2 years?
It depends, right? So it depends on what your build cost is and what your selling rate is, what your experience that you're offering and what people can pay for that experience is, and what your cost of running are. I personally like to work with somewhere around 4 or 5 years at worst, because for me, the environment is very volatile. Things change too quickly.
Can you give us like an idea of here?
So here I would say like the first year before this recession started hitting, we were doing an operating profit of about 60%.
60%?
Yeah. And so for me, watching the numbers is very key. Wow. And so obviously as now things have started, the recession or just the economic climate that we're in, it's gone down, but we're hoping that it comes back up again. But so far, we're still good.
So guys, it's really sunny outside, so I brought my shades on because I can look at you guys well. My face can refresh. Ooh, okay. What are the future plans? Do you plan on building out more locations? Do you have any other locations in Lagos?
We actually are looking to now start building our own. That's the next direction for us, both in Nigeria and in other African countries. So in Nigeria now we have a location in Ibeshe Island, which we're going to hopefully start building out soon. Other than that, we're looking at other African countries, particularly places that their tourism is budding and also that they transact in foreign currency in their tourism industry. So we're looking at places like Rwanda, which is showing promise and is very interesting. We're looking at Kenya. That's where we're going to, and hopefully in the next 5 years, maybe we'll be one of the top or maybe the leading hospitality company in Africa and really just leading the frontier of establishing Africa as a destination, creating destinations in Africa that pulls people into the country. So we're happy to work with people who are aligned to the same vision, who have places to work with. We're happy to partner with people to work with them to create set of destinations, manage their whole value chain, and obviously generate revenue.
If you could change something about Africa, what would it be?
I think the image of ourselves, just because I think that we undervalue what we have. We're ready to give it away at a whim. I think I was talking to someone who was talking about showing me some places in Sierra Leone, and it was just so beautiful. He's like, well, they just treat it like every other day. And I was like, And I go to somewhere like Barcelona and they charge you for everything. They monetize every single bit of history, every single bit of a view, every single bit of everything that they have. And that's value. And so we just don't put value on our own selves or our own thing. And I think, part of that is also what image you portray. And that's why what you do with your channel is great, because then you're showing like, this is really the image of Africa, because what is been put out on the media doesn't give you a good image. So if I could change anything, it would be that narrative and that image and just that self-identity of like, okay, we have value.
If you had a chance to start all over again, what would you do differently?
I think I would do more of this. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, we work, we're in the work, we're in the grind, and people don't know what you're doing. If you don't talk about your work, if you don't step out and manage that how you're perceived, how do you even get more work? How do you have more doors open up to you? It's not about tooting your horn.
I think you toot your horn too, by the way.
In all this while, there's been so much work done, and nobody knows who's behind these brands. It's a disservice to, I guess, ourselves to just focus so much on the grind, which I think obviously definitely focus on the grind, but also doing things like this is very important. So I think if I would do something differently, it would be telling my own story and telling the company's story earlier throughout the lifetime of the journey as well.
And lastly, there are lots of young Africans watching this and they're inspired by your story. What would be your advice to them, if they wanted to actually become an entrepreneur?
I think I'd just say go for what you believe in. I think when I was leaving architecture, nobody understood what I was doing, but it was just something that was burning in me. And obviously now it's come full circle to sort of integrate both architecture and travel and everything, and it's come full circle now. But at the time, it didn't make sense. So I think it's really about going with what you love. Obviously, make sure the business does make sense. Like I think that a lot of people start stuff off with so much passion and stuff, and then they forget that there's a strategy for business. Like I have an MBA.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and in hospitality management really and international tourism. So you can't just work on passion alone, but for sure, go chase your dreams. That's the advice I would give to anybody is you might be the one in a billion. And you're in Africa too. The chances that you would be a one in a billion is high.
So are you saying more people should come back to Africa to actually develop it?
Yes, I do think that running away is not the solution, I think. Like I said, there's so much value and opportunity here. And who's going to harness it? If we don't harness it, some foreigner would harness it. And then what? The money goes away, flows away in that direction, instead of keeping it in this direction. So I do think that if you have value to bring, yes, do bring it. And I'm not saying, anybody with whatever works for you is great. However, even in your location, wherever you are, which might be outside of Africa, there are ways to also build Africa from where you are. And I think there's a lot of leverage, even being a way that you can still play back into putting into Africa to build it. We can't leave it to just fall apart.
That's an awesome ending. You said go chase your dreams. So guys, we're out there, go and chase your dreams. Thanks a lot for sharing your story with us. Thanks a lot for taking us around your awesome establishment and all the other establishments that you're doing and all the other ones that are coming up. So guys, I'm going to put the link to our company in the description below. If you're out there and you want to build beach houses, beach experiences, consultancy, what are the other things you do?
If you want to build out something that is unique, an interesting destination that puts Africa or your country or your nation on the map, for sure, we're happy to work with you, and do reach out to us and then we'll see how to make this a viable business.
And tell our Tile sent you. So guys, everything is in the link in the description below. Check it out. And that's all we have to share with you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 500,000 this month. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.